What is up, guys? What is all my fellow aces out there? I'm Leroy, and with me is my co-host Mimi, and welcome to the Team Vector Redraw.
Hello, Mimi,
So,
that's me.
so today, guys, we got a discussion. Being that we just got released the updated restriction list, we're going to talk about: do we agree with the hit? Do we agree with the releases or hits? Do we think there should have been something added for if there was a release? And talk about honestly what we thought was going to be on here, and do we feel Bushi made the right decision? So starting off, we're going to start discussing the ban list. Realistically, they only did 3 things. They unrestricted cards. So the following cards are now back up to 4. First card, Fantasy Petal Storm Shirayuki. Second, Silverthorn Beast Tamer Dorian. And Thundering Sword Dragon Anger Blader. Now this is only for standard.
Hopefully we'll get the premium stuff on Thursday, right? Friday.
I think so. I think they're going to do the premium stuff on Friday.
Hopefully.
Now, so this is what was unrestricted. Originally, these guys were all put down to 1-ofs. Overall, Mimi, I actually agree with the releases.
Me too.
Shirayuki, I understand the hit early because her and Hyuga together, while everything else was still kind of low tier in power and attack power, she kind of need to be put down in the corner for a little bit because no one could really overpower her.
Yeah, she was a little too flexible. Gave the deck a little too much defense for how aggressive it was, and then also was an aggressive piece as well, which just kind of took the deck into too powerful territory. But now with the end of the Excel meta and the beginning of the new Force era, it's good to have their useful pieces back.
Yeah. I also kind of agree with Dorian coming back because now more decks are about equal speed to how fast Silverthorns were gaining hand. So it's not like a huge lack of now when you see a matchup against Silverthorns. You?
Yeah, I feel like Silverthorns, and not to a lesser extent with Anger Blader, they were a little about a turn too fast when they were banned, but now the game's kind of sped up a turn with the new season coming out. So having these cards come back, I feel like is almost it's pretty healthy. Tachi's as a deck is not healthy, but it's fine. It's fine.
We're actually gonna go into that because this, I think, is where the real discussion for our talk right now is.
Because why was it banned in the first place, Leroy? Could you tell me why Anger Blader was banned?
Yeah, actually, Anger Blader was banned because of how fast and how oppressive the deck was on its grade 3 ride. You could sort of compare it to Overlord the Cross as of right now, with how oppressive it can be on its first grade 3 ride and kill you on that first 3 ride without question. But there was actually more to it than that. But I'll go into that in a second because that's part of what I think should have been hit and as the cost of releasing Anger Blader. But the deck really wasn't. I'll say this: Anger Blader itself, good card, major awesome boss card, should have stayed, should have never been hit. It was its partner card that should have been hit originally. And that's where the problem lies for me.
Yeah.
And before I talk about that, do you think anything should have been hit in response to Shirayuki and Dorian coming back?
No, I feel like both of those decks were struggling in the meta, so getting some new pieces, well, quote unquote new, it should give them the edge they need to help make the meta feel less stagnant and centralized.
Okay, so since we can pretty much agree on that part, let's talk about why Anger Blader got hit. Because Anger Blader getting hit realistically was like you blamed the employee for the manager's bad decision.
I guess, kinda. It was like the nuclear option. They were like, we need to kill this deck. It's unhealthy, quote unquote, for tournament play. Let's just murder it. And so they just banned the boss monster. And the deck was only running one grade 3, so now they have no grade 3s. Problem solved.
Yeah, but in my opinion, it wasn't Anger Blader that was the boss. It was this card in particular.
It is.
And
it's their win condition.
And this is the card I honestly feel should have been hit, or some sort of errata should have occurred on the release of Anger Blader. And for those of you who have never played Tachis or never fought Tachis, I'm going to let you know what the card was, and I'll give you my reasons, my problems with the card, and why I felt this should have been hit or errated. The name of the card is Clear Out Dragon, Sweeper Kanto. Its auto skill is on rearguard once per turn. When it attacks a Vanguard, put the top card of your deck face down as an equip gauge for this unit. Continuous rearguard. Here's the second skill. Continuous rearguard. This unit gets plus 5k for each of this unit's equip gauges. And if there are 3 or more equip gauges, it cannot be chosen by your opponent's card abilities. Now, for the deck, I'm not going to lie. This was a brilliant card to have. It needed something like this. However, the way the skill was made, to me, was the problem child.
Yeah, there's no outing it, is there? Once it gets those 3 equip gauges, it gets plus 15 and it's 24. And if you're playing a bunch of smaller units, then you're going to have a harder time hitting it. And most decks are playing small units because most decks aren't Force Clans. Wow. I don't know.
Even for the Force Clans, they can't hit that 24.
No, that's usually your Force column doing that then. And that kind of that's usually your column with the Force gift that has to swing into that, and that's kind of eating up your whole turn.
Yeah. Now, do I agree they should have kept one or the other? Yes. Keep both skills? Yes, but for me, I think Sweeper should have had an errata to its power gain, to it solely being on either had to keep the power gain fully and get rid of the,
so like just on your turn, or
either you keep the power gain completely and get rid of the indestructible untargeting portion, or you keep non-targeting effects and only get to keep the power on the offensive turn.
But what if it like got plus 3 for each equip gauge or something like that, so that when it hit the skill, it was only getting plus 9 and it was 18k?
Honestly, that would have been another good option, because 24, even when it first came out, is not an easy number to hit.
No, but 18, that's not so bad. That's a grade 1 and a grade 2 in a Force deck.
Yeah, that's an average column.
And then it gives them a good protect match, because they needed a better protect matchup. Yeah.
Yeah, like plus 3. I agree with you, Mimi. Plus 3 would be like the perfect sweet spot, but they gave it plus 5.
Yeah, we're not playing 0. We can't just change what's written on the card with a little snap like that.
Yeah, it got plus 5. Plus 5 is 24, meaning you need a booster and a Force 1 marker for Force decks. Excel decks can't hit that number without a lot of effects supporting it in the background, and Protect decks can't even hit that number without a lot of effects going on in the background.
Yeah. I feel like it's able to come off the list now, because the reason it was banned in the first place was because it was unhealthy in the metagame or whatever. Bushiroad was like, oh, it's too strong. You high roll, you open Anger Blader, and you win the game. So if there's no Anger Blader, you can't open Anger Blader and win the game. But now, even if you do open Anger Blader, it's not guaranteed, because Excel decks, well, like with the whole meta being a turn faster, are able to contest them and rush them back. If they commit to their hand to the board in order to make the sweeper big enough, they might not have enough shield. Force decks can just delete it off of existence with their bigger powers now, and I have no idea what Protect's up to. I'm pretty sure they're saving us for Protect for the next meta. whatever the heck they're gonna do to fix it next time.
Yeah, but I honestly think though, because they released Anger, I would have semi-limited Sweeper to about 2.
Yeah, I feel like that would kind of make sense because they're getting support soon, and then Sweeper is kind of inherently very powerful. Like, they have Cho-Oh on the list. So, like, why is Cho-Oh at 2 on the list still and Anger Blader isn't? Like, what is this?
Yeah, like, Anger at 4, fine. Because every deck technically needs its second grade 3 for something.
Yeah, they were literally playing 4.
But Sweeper is like Cho-Oh. Cho-Oh got hit, which made sense. Why didn't they do it to Sweeper?
Yeah, I don't know if Cho-Oh made as much sense as hitting Sweeper does. Like, hitting Sweeper is so obvious, and they're not doing it. And hitting Cho-Oh was kind of questionable, but they did.
But overall, it made sense. Like, overall, hitting it makes sense. Especially now, with full Bronto.
Oh, remind me, what's full Bronto's skill again?
Full Bronto skill is when, after your Vanguard Vanquisher attacks, find itself and its counter. If I remember correctly, it's Counterblast 1. Bind a card.
Narukami card, right?
Yeah. One second, I think. Let me get it. I'm going to get it too.
Full Bronto. Here we go. Continuous Vanguard Circle. This unit is always regarded as Dragonic Vanquisher. Auto, Vanguard. When placed, all of your front row units get power plus 10,000 until end of turn. Auto, when bound from hand during your turn, if your Vanguard is Dragonic Vanquisher, aka this card, or the actual Dragonic Vanquisher, cost, discard a card from your hand. Ride this card as stand, and it gets drive -1 until end of turn. During that turn's end phase, you cannot get... during that turn's end phase, you cannot get any imaginary gift excel. And at the end of that turn, I see. But the great thing
it has an effect that actually to the next discussion.
Yeah, so you can get 2 excel gifts, but not 3.
Yeah, but this card, if Cho-Oh was released, would cause problems.
Yeah, I can see that. Maybe they were future-proofing, knowing how problematic it could be.
Because Vanquisher really doesn't use up any cost.
Not really. No. That seems pretty free. Oh, I guess I should look at the actual Dragonic Vanquisher. I always forget what it does. During your turn, if a total 3 or more of any player's cards are bound this turn, all of your front row... Let's get plus 10. Pretty good. Counterblast when choose any of your... Oh, that's rather strong. Where's the combo?
Yeah.
I like the way Narukami's looking.
Yeah, but then for those who don't know what Cho-Oh does, Cho-Oh is when placed, Counterblast 1, choose a column, find one of your opponent's front row rear guards in that column, and move up to 1 back row rear guard in that column to the front row. Auto skill on rear, once per turn at the end of the battle, your Vanguard attack. If your opponent's front row has no rear guards, Counterblast 1 and stand this unit.
It's very strong.
Yeah, especially when you put it with a deck that can multi-attack on its Vanguard circle.
Oh yeah, it's just a bit strong overall. Like
Cho was preemptive.
Yeah, because at the time it didn't feel like it didn't hurt the deck too. I feel like a lot of people were actually on 2 Cho-Oh anyway. It felt like they just didn't want it to. They didn't want it to be able to reach the point where running 4 would be like backbreaking, I suppose.
Yeah, but then it also just sort of got kicked to the curb anyway.
Yeah. I suppose that about takes us into... Well, before we go into that next topic about multiple gifts is what I'm guessing we were supposed to talk about next, if I can read the room correctly. But before that, while we're on the subject of the ban list and cards being banned and unbanned, all these things that were unbanned in Standard is wonderful. There are a few things that should be coming off the list in Premium that just confuse me as to why they managed to be on the list. Like, Bushiroad has forgotten I mean, not forgot. Maybe they just don't. Maybe they don't know what the meta is. Like they ban Katarina just to make new Katarina, but it's Murakumo instead this time. And they just switched what clan it's in. It does the same thing, pretty much. But like, why is Delight Genius and still on the ban list? So what if I draw like 4 cards? If I'm getting attacked 6 billion times by Dark Irregulars for 40 billion, then like, it doesn't matter how many cards I have in my hand if I'm just dead. Like maybe with some of the new stuff from Premium Collection, I'll have a chance against them, but then it might actually be a fair fight. But they don't hit the actual problem stuff. I mean, okay, Katarina was kind of an actual problem.
Hey, Bushy hasn't been hitting the actual problem cards for a while.
No, Bushiroad and hitting the problem cards and ban list is kind of a joke, but sometimes they get it right. I feel like the last ban list was pretty good.
We have multiple examples of them hitting wrong cards, especially recently.
Oh yeah, like there was the whole Melim debacle back in the day. They just refused to ban that card. Just, I couldn't explain it to you. Their track record is not the best with this.
Like, I'll even say this: hitting Melim, wasn't really when the time leap was around. Hitting Melim should have been lowered, yes, but by hitting the 2 zeros, you do kind of hurt a lot more than just hitting the 1.
Yeah,
because they were coming out with more and more grade 1s that had on place effects for gears. So it's like, do we let them just keep spamming their 0 that can do the same thing we want to prevent the 1 from keep chaining into?
I suppose that is a good one, but I don't think any of them had Melim's. I don't think any of them enabled you to multi-attack and have it be free pluses. That's just shenanigans.
Yeah.
I mean, like, okay, maybe now to everybody listening, it doesn't sound like, wow, Melim, it attacks and becomes a lower grade card. That's unnecessary. It was, back in the day, it was some, you couldn't compete. You literally couldn't compete.
I'm not gonna lie, those were some not dark ages, but that was an annoying time frame where you were seeing Gear Chronicle like at every table and they were majority mirror matches.
I mean, I want to call that a dark time. I just wanted to have a fun time playing Bermuda Triangle, but no, I have to play against Melim every round.
Nah, but you can consider Dark Ages when everybody starts quitting. People weren't really quitting around Time Leap time. They just wanted something about Time Leap to get hit.
I heard a lot of people quit the game around that point, but I was actually getting back into the game around that point, so I think the opposite might be true. I really did like GR. As much shit as I give them for not banning Melim, it did cause me to grow as a player and develop my grade 3 Coral Crossride deck. It was spicy, and as soon as I perfected it, they somehow managed to power creep Melim. I still think that Time Leap was totally viable, but like literally everybody dropped it for ZTB like the next day.
Yeah, it got dropped because when ZTV started, ZTBs just were more consistent. That was that thing.
Was that the whole thing?
Consistency outdid rush power.
Yeah, I also follow that philosophy. I suppose I would have made the same decision if I was playing the deck too. Oh well.
Yeah, so speaking back to, since we got onto the topic of bad choices, or they missed the problem child and hit somebody who didn't deserve the hit.
Yeah, what about Standard? What's going on there? Wasn't there a problem child that needed to be hit or something?
Yeah, one example is Shadow Paladin, recent Luard. And speaking of Luard, he has actually 2 things we can talk about.
Yeah, who the first force multi-attack? What the heck?
But first off, when the emergency ban list came out for Luard, what got hit to the deck was not the problem children, it was the main.
It was their consistency booster, which like, I suppose that's like kind of what they did with Anger Blader, because like I guess you could have played other grade 3s and done stuff, but like with this you can't really replace Snemen, and your whole deck is just kind of a bunch of powerful cards that don't mesh together as well, I guess, which is
Like, I can understand it to try to slow the grade 1 build up in your drop zone, but people are still able to do it rather quickly.
Oh yeah.
And instead of hitting, and what I mean by they hit the wrong card, for those who don't know, the main was a simple rest this unit, grab a grade 1 with 5,000 card with 5,000 power superior call,
Such as Nemain.
such as herself,
Or a whole toolbox of cards that are just they were definitely not. I mean, they were obviously designed with Nemain in mind. Otherwise, they wouldn't be a grade 2 with 5,000 power. But like, still.
But speaking of that grade 2, who we like to call Robin Hood Dragon, but that card alone was part of the problem children that actually should have been hit.
Yeah. Wait, the eagle thing? The promo?
No, the dragon. Robin Hood Dragon.
Okay, wait. Maybe I haven't been playing against the proper Shadow Paladin opponent. What is this card?
It was the card that should have been hit was any piece of the superior ride. That's what actually should have been hit. But what they hit was the main.
Yeah, I don't know. I still am not entirely sure why they chose them. And sometimes their choice restrictions are pretty good, like with Lizalette and Sonata. That was a pretty good choice restriction. And Premium, that choice restriction, if that didn't implement, the game would have broken. Trust me. Oh god.
Yeah. But yeah, like the main shouldn't have had to have been hit to stop the superior ride.
Yeah, this one is not the best choice restriction in Bushiroad's history. Normally those are pretty good restrictions, but they are dropped.
But the main wasn't the problem, it was the superior ride. Now, some people, when the main disappeared, they just ran 4 pieces of the 1 and 2 and the still 1 Phantom Blaster Dragon. But it was really easy to stop the superior ride of the deck. Just choice restrict Phantom Blaster Dragon. That's all that had to be done.
Wait, choice restrict him? Oh, I'm looking at the wrong page. That's why I can't find it. Duh.
Yeah, that's all they had to do for Luart. Choice restrict Phantom Blaster Dragon.
Maybe I really am playing against the wrong Luart opponent. They're not running Phantom Blaster Dragon.
Well, they can't anymore because of the ban.
Wait, but I thought our whole conversation that we're having right now is about how the ban didn't affect them.
Well, it didn't because now they're just running. Now they're running more of the one supporters that came out the set. The main getting hit just sort of emptied a slot, told them not to run the superior ride, and now they're playing slower, but not by much.
Yeah, I've played against it. It didn't feel much slower. I always feel a turn behind when I'm playing Bermuda. But you know what? I feel like that against every deck I play against because power creep. But you know that new set's coming out and those cards look delicious.
Yes, they do. Can you think of any other clan that got the wrong choice restriction outside of Tachikaze's, which we talked about?
Well, they didn't get a choice restriction, so I wouldn't classify them, but they
got the wrong hit.
Yeah, wrong hit. There's a few in Premium. Let me pull up the list to double check. I'm not talking out of my butt here. Some of I'm pretty sure that this 7C stuff can come off the list. Oh, well, I guess that isn't exactly the question, is it? Definitely got hit wrong.
Yeah, that got hit wrong.
Yeah.
But 7Cs can come off the list now. They're not a problem child anymore.
So many things can come off the list now.
They changed the ruling for striding, so 7Cs can come off. Them doing that whole grade stuff doesn't matter anymore.
Looking back on it, I'm not sure there's too many other things that are like that the ban lists have truly hit wrong. I mean, there's been some. Well, we've talked about most of them, but most of the hits have been fine. Sometimes they're not always enough. Sometimes they're too much when they don't need to be, but they usually do it right. Like, they banned Ichikishima, where they were just like, nope, we're done with this. Ichikishima, gone. Sometimes they properly and accurate, and rightfully so, limited Kruk to 1 before the release of the new series. Well, maybe it was right after the release. No, it was before. Because, oh my goodness, if I had 4 Kruks in Premium right now, it would be disgusting. Oh, that card is gross.
Yeah, then they recently early restricted. They hit 2 very powerful guard restricts for Grand Blue and Dark Irregulars.
Yeah, the Valiance Flonger, as I understand why it's banned, like it like kind of shouldn't be banned, but as somebody who has played against Violence Flonger and somebody who's played with it, it's just not fun for either player. I don't feel very good informing you that you cannot guard this attack, and then I have to make the poor, like, 12-year-old just cry as I am like, I attack and you literally aren't allowed to guard and you lose. Sorry, there's nothing you can do about it. It doesn't feel good for anybody. It feels kind of scummy. Like, in Variance Hard, like, I don't fully agree with that. Dark Irregulars can use all the help it gets, or that it can get, but it also doesn't feel very fun to play against. I play against a lot of Dark Irregulars, and it is... Let me double check. When placed, if your soul has 3 or more cards with the same card name with different card names until end of turn, your opponent would call a card from hand. Here, she must call 3. Yeah, it's that one. I thought so. To get 1 copy of it. Yeah. Oh wait, no, cannot be used. They get no copies of Variance Hard. Like,
that card was problematic too, though.
wait, when was that banned? I actually didn't notice that was that on...
That was an early pre-restrict.
Was that before the new set came out? Like, just before?
Yep.
Ah, makes sense. Makes sense.
They hit it before Sharat was revealed.
I haven't actually had a chance to play against Sharat personally yet, so... it makes sense why I didn't notice.
But it was a good thing they hit her, because Sharat having his restand ability...
Oh yeah, that card when DI doesn't get multi-attacks, very healthy. But if you're doing any multi-attacks, oh god, oh no.
No. And let's not forget, I don't think she got hit in Premium either, did she?
Nope, that is a standard-only restriction.
Oh, look what could happen in Premium then.
No, they don't need it in Premium. Trust me, they don't need that. They have enough stuff.
But now that we're talking about, since we pretty much went over what was bad hits, there were... People thought that Luard and Gurgwit were going to get hit on this ban list.
Oh yeah, a lot of people were thinking that.
However, I thought at least Luard was going to get hit, or some sort of errata. Now, in reference to errata, we have to look back at Full Bronto. Full Bronto makes it so after it strides back, Superior rides back down to its base form, it cannot gain another marker. So...
Oh yeah, imagine if Luard said that. I would actually kind of think it's healthy.
If Luard had that, it would be healthy. I have no problem with Luard gaining a second marker during the battle step. That's not a problem. It's that third marker.
Yeah, it's the third and fourth one that are like, whoa. Oh, that echoes. I can hear myself in your background. It's kind of getting bad.
I'm on speaker.
Oops.
Boy,
Boy, put on a headset.
But yeah, that was my opinion on that. If you at least errata either Dragfall or Drag Heart to say when it reverts back, it can't get the second marker, Luar would be 100% fair, and I don't think anybody would have any problems.
Oh yeah, I feel like not just like that would definitely solve the problem with Luard, but with another card that could have gotten an errata was with Tachi's Sweeper. If it got +3 instead of +5, would probably be relatively fair, because at that threshold where it becomes untargetable at 3 equip gauges, it gets +9 instead of +15, which would make it an 18k instead of 24. And that little margin means quite a bit. It still gives them an edge against Protect decks, because they can't hit 18 very easily, considering they usually swing for 17. but 24 is just a bit much for anybody to deal with. And then it still gets
Yeah.
big. Like, you give it 10 equip gauges, and it gets plus 30, and it goes like...
Yeah. But then you also have, then we also have the fact people thought Gurgit was gonna get hit. Now, in Japan meta, I can see them have wanted to hit Gurgit. And there's only like really 2 cards people were looking at to hit.
Neither were actually Gurgit itself, were they?
No, it was Percival, Bluish Flame Liberator Percival, and Wonder Ezel were the 2 targets.
Always Wonder Ezel. That card's very well designed card, Wonder Ezel.
Honestly, I think Wonder Ezel would have been the proper hit, if any.
It's banned in premium. Why is it not banned in standards? Guys, hello? It should just be banned in both formats. That's what they should have done.
Well, Wonder Ezel is banned in premium, but it's not the new Wonder, it's the original.
Yeah, I know, but like, still.
Like, I honestly think when a hit does come to Gurgit, it should be Wonder Ezel over Percival. Even though people on our team feel it should be Percival and not Wonder.
You don't want to name any names, though?
Not really.
We're good. I feel that.
And here's my reasoning for who should be hit and who shouldn't. I don't believe hitting Percival would be smart overall for the deck. Because without Percival, Gurgit cannot actually build up more cell markers at the speed it needs to make his power effect viable. You can say rewriting's fine and dandy all you want, but realistically, it only gains 1 Excel marker. So on ride, that's 2 markers, and then if they want another one, they have to either ride again or pull another Percival. But Percival is a hard once per turn.
At least they had some foresight.
However, Wonder Ezel is free all the way around. It just needs to be placed.
So free. I'll read standard Wonder Ezel for those who have forgotten. Soul Blast 1, retire a Crimson Lion Beast Howl on rearguard circle. Search your deck for up to 1 Incandescent Lion Blonde Ezel. Write it as standard and it gets drive -1 until end of the turn. Shuffle your deck. And of course, when placed, you may call a card from your hand to rearguard circle. Which, that's kind of nuts. Both of those effects. They're not doing the Ezel thing, are they, though?
Some decks that I've seen in Japan are doing the Ezel
Like
superior ride.
Like, it seems like if you're playing the card, like, you could get some maximum value out of it, but the real thing is that on-play skill to get multi-attack chaining with those multiple Excel gifts. Multiplicative value and all that.
Yep.
And I, for some reason, I wanted to read Bluish Flame Liberator blah 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 for everybody, but I cannot seem to find him.
Alright, so...
Oh, he's a grade 3. I
Percival,
found. I thought he was a grade 2. I'm sorry. Continuous Vanguard. All of your units in an additional rearguard circle get +5, which means that your Excel 2 gifts, the only gifts you can gain, give you +10 like they're supposed to. And then his other skill, Vanguard Rearguard, when placed, if you have a grade 3 or greater Vanguard cost, counterblast 1 and discard a card from your hand, you get an imaginary gift Excel. Search your deck or drop zone for up to 1 Oath Liberator Aglove, call it to rearguard circle, and if you search your deck, shuffle your deck. This ability may only be used once per turn, hard once per turn. That's not the link I wanted to open. I wanted to read Oath Liberator Aglove, the card you get to search. It's a grade 2, who I'm guessing was the Legion mate that this is supposed to be based off of, right?
Yeah.
Whose 2 skills are Auto Vanguard when placed, Counterblast 1, look at 3 cards from the top of your deck, call up to 1 from among them to rearguard, and put the rest on the bottom of your deck in any order. And then Auto Vanguard when it attacks, or rearguard, sorry, when it attacks, cost, put another rearguard into your soul, and it gets plus 10k until end of battle, and at the end of the battle, return this unit to your hand. pretty good that you get to search that out.
Yeah.
But then getting the multiple Excel gifts, I can see why that card could be banned. Getting multiple Excel gifts is kind of gross.
Yeah, but to be fair, at least it's not free.
Yeah, it's on rate. You know, you counterblast one and you go -1, but like you really, in the end, you go +1, because an Excel gift is basically it's in a +2 the first turn, and then you give back more value out of it. Every turn it gets to keep existing. But then golds can, if you get to multi-attack with it, then it's a +3 instead of a +4, depending on how big it was. Because like with this card right here, all of your units get +10 instead of +5 for being on the Excel circle, so that you get to swing for even bigger numbers. So maybe you'll get even more advantage out of it. So
yeah,
when
and
I
that's
say
my
it's on
other
rate,
thing for not hitting it.
Yeah.
Because it's the secondary Vanguard too.
Yeah, I feel like this card is a little more problematic with its interactions than Wonder Ezel, because Wonder Ezel, I feel like Wonder Ezel gets used in all the Gold Paladin decks though. And then like if you ban, I don't like when they hard kill a deck like when they did with Tachi's, because that was the only way to play Tachi's. Like it was kind of a degenerate way to play Tachi's, but when it's the only way, trust me, when it's the only way to play your clan, you gotta play it like that. As a Bermuda player, I know. Sometimes you got to. But with this, it's like, if they ban Wonder Ezel, then that kills most of the multi-attacking strategies in Gold Paladin. And that's, wow, most of Gold Paladin. Or if they got rid of this, then I guess banning cards that just comes out might not be their style, though. You know, that's kind of what Konami does. Needle
Here's how
fiber,
I would say you solve the problem. You choice restrict Wonder from being played with Gurgit.
Oh, a choice restriction. Now, see, that would be a good choice restriction.
You don't have to ban Percival because, in my opinion, hitting Percival kills the deck. There's no point in playing Gurgit if you can't actually build up Excel markers.
I mean, kind of. But just the fact that you have grade 3s that have the Excel gift is kind of half of the wonders of any Excel deck, isn't it? Just you get to get the gift. That's all that really matters. So I guess the more you get, the better it is. I wouldn't say the deck is dead. Golds have all sorts of tools and whatnot, but they definitely would no longer be a top tier strat.
Top tier, I would even keep them the top in tier 2. It almost dropped to a tier 3 deck.
Yeah, they
would be too slow.
Well, I guess I think you're right. Because Gurgit doesn't really increase the speed of the deck, but I was saying, well, the old deck was pretty okay, but it hasn't been relevant since the new era started, really.
Yeah, because even with Gurgit's skill, it's like, okay, it has one Excel marker, but that one Excel marker doesn't really do much.
No.
You at least want 2 Excels.
Oh yeah, especially with Percival. Well, that's the thing, because then there wouldn't be Percival, so then it wouldn't matter.
At minimum, you want at least 2 markers, and once you have the 2, you're fine.
Is there a specific reason that you want the 2 markers? Is there a strategy you have envisioned? Because I feel like just having the more... It doesn't matter strictly how many you get. But if you get 2, it is the best, though, because then you have... Then when you do multi-attacking things with things like Wonder Ezel, then both of the attacks get the power boost. But I feel like as long as you...
5 boost really isn't much, though. Yeah, that's my thing.
Because it's less about the strength, it's just the fact that you get an extra attack, so you can play, if you need to, you can play a slower game where you can use the extra attacks in order to attack your opponent's rear guards more with, and then using Gurgit's skill and your intercepts to save on hand until you can get into a position where you can accumulate enough Excel gifts to go aggressive. That's a strategy that was used in Premium a whole lot. If that's kind of what made Gold so good, was that if you couldn't rush your opponent and just smash them, you could go into a really good grind game and draw a bajillion cards and then stall the game out until you had like 4 or 7 Excel gifts, and then go into Ultima and just delete them. So you can't do it to that same extent because you don't have access to a quad drive guard restrict card, but you'd have access to quite a few powerful pieces that they were using in premium, so you can get away with most of it.
Premium-wise, the deck I think would be fine if you hit Percival. It's honestly the standard side hitting Percival would hurt the deck.
Oh yes, nobody's worried about golds and premium. We're all sick of it. We all are just like, okay, the time for Inner Spotlight is gone. We can move on now, or at least that's how I feel.
Now that we've discussed what should have, so in your opinion, I've given mine. What do you think should happen if for the hit to golds?
I haven't played against golds extensively, so I'm not sure exactly how broken they are. Everybody's complaining about it, but I probably would hit what? I really like that choice restriction idea. Now that the more I've thought about it, restricting Percival with Gurgit's probably the best idea, but I guess then maybe you are probably able to find some other way to abuse Percival. So maybe like either limiting Percival to 2 or making it with a choice restriction with something else as well as other bosses. You have like 3 things, but I feel like that's a bit much. I would love actually to play against the deck more, but I have such a hard time finding people to play Vanguard against nowadays. Especially Standard, considering I get so... I can't play Standard. All of my Bermuda cards are so bad, but very soon we get to talk about them. So hopefully we'll get to talk about more Bermuda cards on after Friday when there's that new thing, because when they did a restricted announcement today, they also said that they were going to be revealing more information on November 27th, which is this Friday. And since all the restrictions they talked about were for Standard, I'm hoping maybe they'll be talking about some restrictions for Premium, and Ange will come off the list. And then, now you've got me talking.
Gone to that. I want to hear your opinion on this, because a lot of people, I think, were mad that Gurgit didn't get hit this set. Get hit off this ban list. Now, I can understand the JP side being upset that there was not a hit, because they've had enough fights, enough tournaments to show the results of that the deck needs to be hit at some point. But on the global side of the card game, I'm glad they didn't do any hit towards it yet, because that would have killed the market flat out. The set would have been dead and nothing would have happened.
Yeah, it really does hurt business to ban a card before it comes out, doesn't it?
Yeah. Look what happened to Gurgit. Look what happened to Luard.
Yeah, it's not as expensive. I was looking at the prices on TCG Player a few weeks ago. It's nowhere near as expensive as I envisioned it being, considering it's Luard. It's always expensive, but it looked affordable, and that's always something's wrong if Luard is affordable.
$200 deck, sir. $200 deck.
I guess for Standard that's not budget Rumble, but that's not what I'd expect for Luard. I'd expect Luard to go for way more.
But that's what happens when you hit a card that kind of kills that. Can almost kill a deck per se. The main's hit didn't kill Luard, but it got really, really close.
Yeah, I guess because it was top in every tournament. I guess that's when that ban list happened, huh? Was after the Luard meta. I thought it was preemptive, but that shows how much I've been following the tournament seed recently.
The main hit was as soon as the deck dropped,
yeah, that's what
a week or two later.
I thought it was around the same time. They're okay, this is mildly preemptive, but there's no tournament, so it doesn't have to be the exact same timing. If only there were tournaments. I just want to go to locals.
Well, they They hit it like fresh off the bat, and then the English release got the ban immediately as the set was dropping.
Well, good thing we didn't have to play against that stuff, or y'all didn't.
Honestly, it wasn't even a problem, child. I honestly think if they cared so much about the Superior Ride, fine. But realistically, even with the Superior Ride, I didn't see much problem with the deck. And this is both playing with it and be on the receiving end.
Yeah. On both ends? How so?
Yeah, this is me coming from being on both ends of the table.
Okay. Wait, I'm rather sleepy. Maybe I got lost on where you were in that sentence. I was waiting for something. I guess that was the end of the sentence and I missed the start of it. Oh well.
Yeah.
Oops. I'm sure our listeners heard. Not me. For those who don't know, I have to record very, very late at night / early in the morning because my neighborhood is very loud. And it is currently the time I'm supposed to be sleepy.
Yeah, that's rough. But
We are hitting times. We have hit time, so maybe it's time for me to take a nap.
yeah, I think also we've hit everything.
Yeah, we've
right?
talked about everything we wanted to talk about. That's when my mind was starting to wander. I'm like, I can't. All the thoughts I had that I wanted to, they've been accumulating in my mind all day. All my opinions about the ban list, quote unquote opinions. And now they're gone. I'm out of opinions to have about ban lists. I have complained that Ange is still not off the list. I've complained about Dark Irregulars. I've complained about Murakumo. I'm in a good zone.
Yeah, I think I am too. But now let's leave it up to our subscribers. If you guys have any opinions on the ban list, or what you felt should have been hit, or if there should have been any erratas included, let us know down in the comments. Please remember to like, comment, subscribe on the channel, and we'll see you guys at the next redraw. Later.
Bye.